Welcome back, Wolfpack. Verlis here, and I had kind of a moment not too long ago. There comes a time in every PokeTuber's career where they do a top 10 of their favorite Pokemon. I decided mine should be coming up. So, I want to do a top 10 of my favorite Pokemon because I kind of like the Pokemon I like, of course, because I like them. Ooh, that's really tricky what I just said right there. But overall, I think that there's some really cool Pokemon out there, and the Pokemon I like are for various reasons. Sometimes it's mostly competitive, like Pokemon battling reasons. Other times it's just the way they look. Other times it's just the whole lore behind them. And sometimes it's just all that brought into one. And it's really exciting for me. I've been a Pokemon fan for pretty much my entire life. Since Pokemon came out when I was just a youngin', I was always into it. And you know, up until then, I've done crazy things to just keep my respect and keep my love of Pokemon going. I've baked cakes whenever they're showing a new movie. Like if it gets a DVD release when it was in theaters, go out, buy the DVD, bake a cake, try to design the main Pokemon on it. If it's coming out on Cartoon Network, I bake the cake that morning. And I try to make events for whenever there's a cool Pokemon thing going on. And it's really just one of the fun things in my life. So a lot of these Pokemon, you know, it becomes more of like a relatable to life thing than just being a Pokemon I battle with, than just being something that's really cool. A lot of these Pokemon are really nostalgic to me in some way, or just Pokemon I really enjoy. So let's get into the list. Number 10, Porygon. Ever since I was a little kid, I don't even know why, but I've always loved Porygon's design. You know, I grinded at the slot machines to try to get one in the early generation games, because I wanted him so bad. When I saw him in Pokemon Snap, he was always the Pokemon I tried to take a million perfect pictures of, because I was like, yo, what's that thing in the wall? Oh my gosh, it was Porygon using his conversion to try to like stay all camouflaged, or his camouflage ability or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then he's a Pokemon engineered by people, which is nice lore behind it in itself. And then as you go up, you know, Porygon 2 looks really nice. I was excited to hear about Porygon 2. When they released Porygon Z, I was ecstatic that Porygon was still getting love. And I even have a Porygon Z plushie that I was able to pick up at a con. It's one of those things that when I saw it, I immediately had to have it. So that I love Porygon, just a cool Pokemon, and I don't feel too many people like him, and it's a Pokemon that's all programming and machine It's cool. All right, let's try to regain my calm. Number 9, Aegislash / the whole Honedge evolution chain. Now, I mostly like Aegislash because it's a really cool idea of a Pokemon that transitions between having an offensive stance and a defensive stance on the fly, and then used incredibly strategically. Aegislash is on my top 10 list for mostly being the most mechanical Pokemon in competitive play. You know, you can either get overrun really easily, you can get shut down really easily, or you can just totally destroy your opponent with it. And it's a really cool Pokemon. There's so many mechanics behind properly running an Aegislash, properly supporting an Aegislash, that it's just a very enjoyable Pokemon. Also, Ghost type is my favorite type, so when you know you have a possessed sword that goes around being such a boss in competitive play, having such a dark lore to it, that really makes the Pokemon interesting to me. And I really enjoy Aegislash for all that. And number 9 on my list. Number 8, Pumpkaboo. Oh my goodness. Pumpkaboo was probably the most excited I have been about a Pokemon announcement, like when Pumpkaboo was released, ever. Let's go into a long backstory here. I love pumpkins. Halloween, favorite holiday. Pumpkin carving, one of my favorite hobbies / activities ever. Pumpkin pie? Don't get me started on pumpkin pie or turning pumpkin into a consumable form. I've actually made pumpkin mash from scratch. I don't buy the canned stuff. I go out and I get a pumpkin, I peel it, I steam it down, I mash it, and that's how I make pumpkin. I've turned pumpkin into a cream sauce for pasta before. I've used it for soup. I've done everything. Pumpkin. Me and pumpkin is pumpkin. 'Cause pumpkin, I love pumpkins. Way too much than the average person should. I actually had a pumpkin patch in my backyard. I went out, tilled the soil, fertilized it, and then planted each little pumpkin, and I had it growing. And then the strangest thing happened. I live in Colorado, and I was kind of late on the growing season, so the pumpkins weren't quite mature yet. And then we had an incredibly early frost. This was the day that they announced Pumpkaboo as a Pokemon. So it became incredibly personal to me that now Pumpkaboo is the embodiment of my dead pumpkin patch, and it's a ghost type of all things. So really, the Pokemon itself is just fascinating. It's the embodiment of my love of pumpkin in Pokemon form, and it has a lot of personal meaning to me over just some rather silly things. Number 7, Drifblim. I like everything about Drifblim. I like the way he looks. I like the lore behind it, because it's really one of those lore that's so dark that it's interesting that Pokemon would have it in it. And then I also like it competitively. Drifblim was one of those Pokemon where I looked at him like, I like Drifblim. How do I make him work? Little did I know he'd become one of the most terrifying things in the game, but that's a different story. I also love a lot of the art about him, fan art, TCG art. Back when I was playing Pokemon card game, I believe the Stormfront set, way back when, Diamond and Pearl set, the Stormfront Drifblim, the one that had, I think, Delivery, where you pull basic Pokemon out of your deck with energy cards attached to them. I would really love that card. I played that card for fun, and I just enjoy everything about Drifblim. Floaty, drifty, carefree balloon ghost. That's alright by me. Alright, number 6. This list is kind of going slow, but I have a lot to say about these Pokemon because they mean so much to me. Number 6, Rotom. Now, I don't like Rotom's forms as much as I just like Rotom and the whole idea. Like, sure, Rotom's forms are a huge part of him, and that's really why I like him, but I don't like the specific forms as much as I just like the spazzy little electric dude. When he came out in Diamond and Pearl, and I encountered him for the first time, I think I either had the strategy guide, and I figured out how to catch him, or I just kind of ran into him. I don't quite remember anymore, but I loved his design. The design is so spastic and exciting and happy to me. And then his lore is even cooler. A little electric spazball that bounces around the room until it hits something electronic and then possesses it. Ghost types are cool like that. And then, another fun fact is, Rotom, he got one anime appearance that I know of, or like his first anime appearance was when Ash and friends stumbled into the old chateau, and I researched this episode, because when I found out it was coming out, I'm like, yes, Rotom's getting an anime appearance, I'm gonna watch the dubbed Japanese version, because I love it so much. And then I found out that the old Gateau is not actually old Gateau in the original Japanese version. It's actually Yokon, which is a Japanese jelly, I believe, dessert, or at least a jelly treat, that is made from red bean paste and, I believe, seaweed, and as well as some other flavorings. Or it's like seaweed powder for its gelatinous qualities. So, what I ended up doing was I found out that the episode is also called Yokon and Rotom in its Japanese form. So I went out to the grocery store, I got a can of red beans, I went and cooked those things up in, like, not like a gravy red beans, but just like regular red beans. They were actually a little hard, they required cooking. So I actually steamed them, got them soft, mashed them into a paste, mixed it with Jello, because I didn't have any like seaweed powder and I didn't know the other flavorings. So I mixed it with cherry Jello, and I ended up making my own ghetto version of Yokon. And this is what I mean, when I make a cake to celebrate a movie, I stayed up all night to make Yokon to celebrate the episode when it was coming out for Cartoon Network, after I'd already enjoyed it for its dubbed version. So it was an exciting thing for me, and it ended up tasting like Skittles, so it wasn't bad after all. Number 5, Snorlax. Snorlax is the Pokemon that got me into competitive play. Snorlax, when I discovered Stockpile as a move, and it really just set my niche, that I'm going to be a battler that uses tanky Pokemon, that I'm going to like setting up, and I'm going to like maintaining an edge over my Pokemon by my opponent through just confidence and tankiness. And in the 4th and 5th generations, that has served me so well. 4th generation, it's the reason why I'm a competitive battler. I was winning battles solely off of Snorlax, that I wanted to grow as a player. I wanted to find similar strategies. I'm always looking for the next Snorlax strategy. I'm always looking for the next way to do it, and Snorlax was really what got me into competitive battling, and it's kept me such a strong player. Whenever I'm feeling down, bring out Snorlax, try to find a way to complement Snorlax, try to find a Pokemon like Snorlax, and then have sweepers behind him. It's a really fun thing, it's the way I work, and Snorlax, also kind of cool Pokemon. Lazy mofo that eats non-stop. When I saw him in the anime back when I was a kid, when he had to eat through all the vines, I thought that was pretty cool. Number 4, Dunsparce. Dunsparce is my one of my favorite Pokemon. Well, this is my list of top 10 favorite Pokemon, but he's number 4 because I love Dunsparce. I don't know why. It's so adorable to me. It's cute. It's hilarious, and it feels really like there's a lot of potential inside Dunsparce, and that was the reason why I went to use him. You know, I mixed Snorlax and Drifblim together, and I made a powerful Dunsparce that makes people rage quit. I tried to find a competitive use for Dunsparce because I care for him so much. Dunsparce is just a hilariously awesome, lovable Pokemon to me. I even have a Dunsparce plush. When the second I saw that, I didn't care how much money it was. I just dropped down that 20, and it was mine. No questions asked. I wanted it. Just like with the Porygon Z plush. You know, when you get a merchant, like, Dunsparce plush seems very rare. When you get a merchandise opportunity of one of your favorite Pokemon that's, you know, it's not a well-regarded Pokemon. A lot of people forget Dunsparce exists. I honor and love Dunsparce so much that I don't even know how many words can express. Like, words can't express why I love Dunsparce so much. I just turn around and look at it. It's adorable to me. It's a badass Pokemon to me. It's kind of like, he's kind of like, yeah, I look a bit dopey, but you mess with me and you're going to get it. And then there was that episode of Pokemon with all the kids that had the Dunsparces, and they were just praising it, and I just could relate with every single kid in that episode, and it was hilarious. Alright, number 3, Klefki. I've talked so much about the keyring, I don't even know if I can do it anymore. This is a keyring that kills things. Now, for those of you who haven't heard, when I first saw Klefki, I thought he was going to be a ghost type. I saw the spectral keyring, and I was like, I am using him. I don't care. This is where Verlisify pulls out all of his strategy guides and forms something useful for this keyring. I hope it's okay. Then I found out I got Prankster. Oh man, that was exactly what I wanted to hear, because I'm like, okay, this keyring is going to be a support, and then it became a fairy type. Like, this is going to be the best Pokemon ever. And I've almost never taken Klefki off my team. He has become as much of a staple as Snorlax, except I love Klefki's design. Everyone hates on, well, not everyone, but so many people hate on the keyring, and I just love it. I feel it fits so well into Pokemon, and it's such a brilliant idea that you give a keyring life, you give it emotion, you give it feeling, you give it a personality, and then you make it a thing that just destroys very powerful Pokemon. I feel that's really the whole lore behind it, that if it's threatened, it jingles its keys angrily to try to scare off its foes, and also that you can give it a key and it'll hold on to it. That makes it really personal. It's like, hey bro, here's my house key. Let's go use it to jab it into another Pokemon and win. Just some weird things like that. I also just love the design. I think it's just, it has a bit of mischievousness to the prankster, with the prankster ability. It has a lot of Pokemon charm to me. And I feel with the new generation that it was a really needed thing after the 5th generation. That Pokemon charm shines through in the keyring of everything. That it just feels right for a Pokemon. Number 2, Typhlosion. Now, I've loved Typhlosion since I picked up a Cyndaquil back in Silver version on its release night. Even though I didn't know what Typhlosion was, I was in love with the whole chain. I love Typhlosion. The way he looks is so amazing. I've probably drawn more art of Typhlosion than any other Pokemon except for my favorite Pokemon. That Typhlosion is so cool and awesome looking to me. Fire erupting out of its back, and that it's just its design is really sleek and powerful feeling. It's also really strong Pokemon competitive play, and it's just one of those things where it's like Dunsparce. I can't describe why I love it so much. Why Typhlosion looks so awesome to me. It just does, and I enjoy Typhlosion so much. Not too many background stories, you know. I picked up Quilava, I was using Flame Wheel like everyone else, and I was trying to max that bad boy out and take him all the way up to the top of Mount Silver and just trash on Red. You know, Typhlosion's always been my boy. When Soul Silver and Heart Gold came out, having Typhlosion follow me around was probably one of the most powerful nostalgic feelings ever. It brought me back to my childhood so immediately, so well that that game was just a beautiful experience overall, and that with Typhlosion there as well, it felt like a Pokemon. It felt like a Pokemon journey. It felt like I was having the most amazing thing. I literally got a tear in my eye when Typhlosion loved me so much, because every once in a while if you turn around and talk to your Pokemon, they'll do something. So I turned around, there was a heart, Typhlosion ran into me and said, "Whoa, Typhlosion just hugged you," and a tear rolled down my cheek, because I was like, oh my god, this is too surreal. This is too real right now. This is too amazing. I love it so much. Alright, number 1, Lugia. Now, pretty much whenever I say my favorite Pokemon, it's kind of like, it's either between Klefki, Typhlosion, or Lugia. And what I mean is, like, Lugia has always been my favorite Pokemon. I probably have more Lugia memorabilia than most other people. I know there's a couple of other crazy, more diehard fans out there, but ever since watching Lugia in the movie theaters as a kid, I was just kind of like, this is the coolest dragon, bird, deep sea thing ever that destroys hyper beam blast. Like, that was my childhood thought right there. And then Lugia's design is like just so sleek, and I really enjoy it. You know, a lot of people have Lugia as their favorite Pokemon. A lot of people really love Lugia because his design, the design of it is so well done. It just has this very strong, powerful, dragon-like feeling to it. And then also, I'm a huge fan of the ocean. I'm a huge fan of swimming. I love water. So having like this beast that controls the sea, the whole lore behind it, the whole movie, even as a little kid where I didn't understand or remember half of it coming out of it, it was just like this powerful experience, and I really love everything about Lugia, from the design to the lore to just everything. Lugia is my favorite Pokemon. Such a badass, powerful Pokemon. And then again, it's kind of like, if we're including legendaries, Lugia is my favorite. If we're excluding legendaries, because people like doing that, it's like, what's your favorite non-legendary? Typhlosion. Past that, Klefki every once in a while, a little more than Typhlosion, just because, like, it's Klefki. It's a key ring. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope I didn't bore you for the last 18 minutes. This video went on longer than I thought it would. You know, I'm only talking about 10 Pokemon, but I get passionate when I talk about a lot of the stories here. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all have a nice day. Oh, one thing I forgot to say about Lugia as well, about Lugia being my favorite Pokemon, is that because of the movie, I went out, and when I discovered that the ocarina is a real instrument, I ended up getting an ocarina just to play Lugia's song on it. That was pretty much the only song I dedicated non-stop to learning, and I eventually learned it, and I thought it was pretty awesome. I was really happy about it. So I thought that was something that was worth noting with the whole Lugia song and stuff.